How we doing, everybody? And welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We are back. It is Thursday, a great Thursday in the great state of Wisconsin. For the guys in my trade, we call it the Eagle Shits today because it's payday in the great state of Wisconsin for us. So great day all the way around. Lots of sports we got to dig into today. Badgers got the win over Maryland. We're going to discuss that game a little bit, look around the world of college basketball, also a little bit of Packer talk, and just kind of float around and see what we can find. So right away, I want to jump into the national sports news there and talk about an article I saw. Nick Saban recently had an interview, and they talked to Saban kind of about the state of college football. And we speculated when Nick Saban had officially retired from college football. We said it right away. And I had mentioned it that I believe Nick Saban's walking away because he doesn't want to deal with it anymore. And in this interview, he kind of voices that reasoning. Looking at this here, he said, if my voice can bring about some meaningful change, I want to help any way I can because I love the players and I love college football. What we have now is not college football as we know it. You hear somebody use the word student athlete, that doesn't exist. 100%. 100% agree with him right there. There is not a big difference right now between professional and college sports simply because of the money game now. It's not even contracts. It's deals. It's NIL deals. It's certain things you can get at certain places. Universities are able to spread their wealth around. Bigger universities are prospering. Smaller universities kind of struggling with it. And that is a big problem in college sports. So Saban goes on to talk about it, and he says, I'm not really looking for a job, but I do know I'd like to impact college football the best way I can, whether it be a spokesperson or anything else. Listen, I'm for the players. It's not like that I'm not for the players. I want to see the players have a great quality of life and be able to create value for themselves. But we've got nobody talking about education, nobody talking about creating value for their future, to talking only about how much money can I make while I'm in college. That's ding, ding, ding right there. That is the biggest kicker right now because you can pay these guys all the money you want in college. And I get it might make your college better for those 2, 3, 4, whatever, how many years that athlete is at your university. But the second they leave and they attempt to go professional, and now let's just say their professional career doesn't work out, they get injured, whatever it is, did you academically get that person, that player, that guy, woman, anything like that, did you get them ready for the real world? And at the end of the day, the answer is no. The answer is no. These kids, these players, these athletes are not worried about what class do I got to take? What classes am I in? This and that. They don't care. It's okay. So Indiana, Nebraska, Iowa, and Wisconsin want me. Which one of them is going to pay me the most money? I don't care which one of them is going to give me the best academic, which one's going to hold me accountable in my academics, which one is going to make me set up for a better future, for understanding what I can do outside of sports, because that's a big thing in the world. These guys, a lot of them don't have much besides the game. And once the game is gone, they run out of things that they can do in this world. If they don't become an analyst or anything like that, where are they going to go? That is a big kicker in this whole situation. So I love that Nick Saban came out and mentioned that, because that is a big deal. And people don't see it as a big of a deal as what it is. And I really do think they need to address this problem. It's a problem. It is a problem. So he goes on to talk and he says, I think the consequence of this could come down the road when some of those guys get 28 or 29 years old, that they maybe didn't prepare themselves for when they can't play football anymore, which is what you should do when you go to college. He's not saying that you have to study to be a rocket scientist. He's not saying you have to study to be a doctor. He's saying to have some kind of plan that when your football career is done, you have the ability to still do something in this world, not have to start over again, not have to go back to college, to have that ability to just move on with life and keep going, get a job, do whatever it is. I think that's fantastic right there out of Saban. And he goes on to talk about name, image, and likeness. And he says, but what you have now isn't name, image, and likeness. A collective has nothing to do with name, image, and likeness. People can give money to the university again and get a tax deduction for doing it. And the university in some kind of way shares, whether it's shared revenue, whether it's buying marketing rights, which is a possibility. You can buy somebody's marketing rights as an institution. And I don't want to say cap because that sounds like a salary cap, but find a way for schools to invest the same amount of money in players, just like everybody can invest the same amount of money in scholarship. This becomes a part of the scholarship. I'm telling you this right now, and this article continues here, and he keeps talking about it. And he says, just like an NFL player has a contract or a coach has a contract, something in place so you don't have all this raiding of rosters and mass movement. I wonder what fans are going to say when they don't even know the team from year to year because there's no development of teams, just bringing in new players every year. That's it. I mean, right now, the NCAA might not feel bad for the coaches. Can you imagine being a college coach right now? This is not what you signed up for as a college coach. Now I know, I get it. You have to change with the times. But this is professional at this point. You constantly have this revolving door. Your transfer portal, free agency. You have to go out in free agency, try to get guys to come to your university, pay them X amount of dollars. You don't know if that guy's going to leave. The transfer portal, thank God, they put in a stipulation that you'd have to sit out again if you transferred after transferring. But these guys who you recruit in, what tells you after 1 year, they aren't going to walk out the door? Go find somewhere else to go. That's the kicker in this entire thing. It's not college sports anymore. The college sports I remember was guys, the really good guys, got the scholarships coming out of high school, got the full ride. The other guys had to work for it. And then the greatest thing ever was those guys being able to get scholarships by earning it on the field, on the court, wherever it was. Nowadays, these guys walk into universities and, they get millions of dollars before they even step onto the floor. You don't even know anything about that guy. We just know he's a hot commodity right now, so we're going to jump all over it. Something has to change. Something has to change in the world of college sports. I agree with the contract. I really do. If players want to get paid, contract, 2 years. You are required to stay at this university for 2 years. After those 2 years, you can transfer if you would like. Something that allows coaches to know what's going to happen in the offseason. To protect coaches. Teams. You look at these teams, and right now the transfer portal opens while games are still going on. So these coaches are still coaching up their teams while also having to reach out to transfer portal recruits, everything in between. They have to stay on top of the entire thing while still coaching. I get it's not different from the NFL. I understand that. But you're watching a game that was so pure, so perfect. It was different. Simply, it was different from the NFL because money wasn't there. The money to the players wasn't there. The drive of the players to go earn that paycheck at the next level was there. Now, look at women's college sports. Look at how many women stay in college sports because WNBA doesn't pay. Angel Reese said, why would I go to the WNBA when I make more money at LSU right now in college? I can't blame her. I can't say anything against that, but that's the problem. I don't agree. I don't think college players shouldn't get something out of their name, something out of their image, and something out of their likeness. I don't think they shouldn't get anything out of that. What I'm saying is that there has to be some kind of bridge, something that allows teams to have players under some kind of stipulation, some kind of you have to stay for at least 2 years, barring that something else happens. That's the only way. That is the only way that you fix this problem. You want to get paid? You get paid like you have a contract. That's it. That's all you can do. Otherwise, this transfer portal nonsense, everything else will be ridiculous. You look at, even Wisconsin this year, you think about the basketball team. Can you guarantee me you're going to have some of these guys back on the roster next year? Now, in the past, I would have said yes. Nowadays, no. But the thing with it is the day of developing in 4-year programs and everything like that is gone. It's out the door. Wisconsin has actually done a pretty good job keeping guys in-house after year 1, year 2. Not watching them transfer out, not watching them walk away, at least not main pieces. But when does that day come? When does Wisconsin become a revolving door? You look at universities who, throughout time, have been that 4-year school. Duke was never a 4-year school, but now on Duke, you see some seniors on that team. Why? A lot of them are transfers. A lot of them are guys coming in who haven't been with the program, but are developing into the program now. And that's the lost art in college sports, was building that program. Wisconsin was known for it. They brought freshmen in. They would sit on the bench 1-2 years. Junior year, you'd finally see them. Or, well, it would technically be their sophomore year because usually they redshirted. But you would see them after that. Nowadays, you can't afford that. It's a revolving door. Something needs to change in the world of college sports. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem. There will be a problem for a long time in college sports where you're going to see a lot of these older coaches, like Nick Saban, walk out. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with guys constantly leaving, constantly walking out the door. There's a difference between one and dones and dealing with the transfer portal. It's a whole different ball game now. And I think it has honestly ruined college sports to its own extent. It has ruined college sports simply because it's turning into semi-pro leagues now, and it's not traditional college sports. So with that I just found that interesting there, what Nick Saban had to say. You can read his full article online there and really get into it. It's a great article, great interview he had there just talking to Nick Saban about the state of college sports and, well, majority college football, but college sports in general there. So with that, I want to move on here and get to the Packers question of the day. So in this upcoming draft here, Packers, ton of draft picks. They're sitting with the number 25 pick right now. They have the number 41 pick, the number 58, the number 88, the 91, 126, 166, 203, 215, 242, and 250 as of right now. Wowza, that's a lot of picks. That is a loaded up draft right there for Brian Gutekunst. Now, I wondered, and I asked this out there, I said, where do you guys think that the Packers need to address? Could you see them making a trade up or down in this draft? What do you want to see? Who do you want to see in green and gold? Couple of comments just talking about, the youngest team in football getting younger. And I'm all for it. I love if Brian Gutekunst can have another great draft. I love the ability to keep having this door of rookie stars walking through it year after year. I think it's fantastic. You look at his last year's draft class and even that year before, and I think he's done very well. I think there's a lot of guys who still haven't reached their full potential, like a guy like Lucas Van Ness. Van Ness, kind of the Rashawn Gary kind of makeup there. Comes in the NFL, not really a great pass rusher, kind of missing some moves yet, but Rashawn Gary developed over time there, and I really do believe that Lucas Van Ness will too. I thought he got a little bit better down the stretch, and I can't wait to see what Lucas Van Ness develops into. I don't think the book is done being written on what Lucas Van Ness is able to do. So, I mean, these draft classes that Brian Gutekunst has had over the years, fantastic. And I agree. I can't wait to see what kind of young talent this Packers team brings in here. So, a lot of comments about what the Packers need here. And a lot of comments telling me we need help in the secondary. Majority in the at cornerback room, while also addressing that safety and also the linebackers. And I agree. I think the Packers need to add some depth there in that cornerback room, in the safety position. I don't know if they're going to bring Darnell Savage back. I would like to see Darnell Savage back. I don't know if they will. He's currently out on the free agent wire right now. I would bring him back, experience out there, putting in a new defense, new defensive coordinator. I don't think Savage played bad last year. I think with a new defensive coordinator, he might even play better than what he was doing under Joel Barry, because Savage came into the NFL. He was a hard-hitting son of a gun. And all of a sudden, everything just changed with the way that Savage played. So I really do think with the addition of a new defensive coordinator who's a little bit more aggressive, I think that plays more into what Savage wants to do. I really like that combo that they could have there with Darnell Savage, but I definitely think you got to add in that safety room. Also went on to say running back, defensive line, edge, inside offense. I don't know what he was trying to say there. I think it was offensive lineman. So I'm going to go with an offensive lineman and a tackle. I really do agree with the tackle. I think the Packers need to add a tackle, if not two tackles in this draft here. You can never have enough. That's for sure. You can never have enough tackles. It seems like they're a hot commodity throughout the NFL now. And I think the Packers could do very well in this draft. A lot of good offensive tackles coming into this draft here, and a lot of good ones will go early on. So with all those picks the Packers have, I could potentially see them trading up there in that first round. I don't know if they will trade up you're going to get an offensive tackle in the first round. I really do think they will. If not a player to put into that secondary. The only way I see them going elsewhere is if a guy like Dallas Turner from Alabama, edge rusher, if he were to drop farther into the draft, maybe a guy like Dallas Turner. But, front seven for Green Bay is not terrible. I would like to see a linebacker, an athletic, can get around, fly around kind of linebacker come into this Green Bay Packer team. I think the Packers could benefit from that. They're going to have Quay Walker, Campbell, and you're going to have guys like Preston Smith probably going to get moved up to that edge spot there. So I think the Packers could definitely benefit from having a guy in that linebacker room, a rookie with a little bit of speed. I like the speed with him. There's one linebacker comes to mind when I think of speed and everything else, and it's Fred Warner. I really like what Fred Warner does for that San Francisco defense. And if the Packers could find somebody out there like that, that would be phenomenal. I think the Packers could definitely benefit from a guy like that in that linebacker room. So I agree with the linebacker. And, I'm not saying that the front seven for Green Bay is phenomenal and you can't add there. If you find somebody for that defensive line, I am gung-ho for it. I really am. I am all gung-ho to add somebody onto that defensive line there. Running back room, I like that. I think the Packers add a running back in this draft. I don't bring A.J. Dillon back. Honestly, Blake Corum, Shipley from Clemson, or I'd be looking at, barring what his injuries tell you, Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen brings you that kind of same mentality as what A.J. Dillon had in Green Bay, more of the bruiser back. And I think he's got a little bit more of that. He doesn't have a lot of breakaway speed, but I think he's a little bit better in the open field than what A.J. Dillon is. I would look at Braylon Allen if he goes late in the draft. I don't think Braylon Allen's going to be a second-round pick. I think he might drop into the third round if he gets up into that third round. I could see potentially landing to the Packers there, and it would suck to see the Packers pass on another Wisconsin Badger because I can't handle it anymore. Passed on TJ Watt. We've passed on Benton. Benton is now with the Steelers, I believe, there. We've passed on a lot of former Badgers who are now contributing in the NFL. I'm not sure on Leo Chanel when he went in the draft. Leo Chanel is always the guy that comes to mind because, it's like every year we see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and we see Leo Chanel coming up with big plays. I just want to see once when Leo Chanel went because that would be another one that would kind of bite me if Leo Chanel got drafted after. I believe he was. I believe the Packers had a pick before that. Now, you can't tell a guy is going to be what he is coming out of. They got him in the third round. 103rd pick is when they got they select him with the 103rd pick, I believe there. Third round pick there, Leo Chanel. And what he's done there with the Chiefs, but the Packers got to take a chance on one of these Badger guys, especially in that, difference is different defensive coordinator now, different way they're being brought up there. But, God, man, the Badgers throw some decent talent there, especially in that linebacker room. TJ Edwards is another guy who comes to mind when I think of linebackers in the NFL out of Wisconsin, and just sucks to see the Packers to never pick up anybody out of Wisconsin. So I like the linebacker, running back. I'm in with the cornerback room, the secondary there. I'm all for that. Just looking around at a couple other comments. Somebody said, if they want a player, they're going to go get them there. And that's what it seemed like when Brian Gutekunst was talking about all these draft picks. He kind of mentioned it there that if they had the ability and if they wanted a guy, they might trade away some draft picks to get higher up into the draft to go get them. So maybe they trade into the first round there and grab a couple pieces there. Maybe they want to upgrade the secondary and the offensive line in the first round before they lose out on them. Maybe it's a guy like McKinstry there who could benefit this Packers team. I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what this Green Bay Packers team decides to do there going into the draft. Another guy commented and said, imagine had we gotten the Jets' first round pick. It's ancient history, like he said, but just imagine it. That'd been crazy. That would have been crazy to see what the Packers would have done with 2 first-round picks. I mean, they could, the way that this roster is constructed as of right now, you could have loaded it up. You could have loaded up the roster and they could have went all in for next season there. They got money. They got money to spend. It wouldn't surprise me if they go out there in the free agent pool and try to find guys also. So Packers are sitting in a fantastic spot. They are sitting in a fantastic spot heading into this next season. Other guys I believe the Packers may be looking at, maybe a guy like Chris Braswell out of Alabama, also offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. I believe his last name is Guyton. And then LSU defensive lineman Wingo, Mikel Wingo. Definitely a couple interesting pieces that I believe the Packers may be interested in this draft here. Lots of good prospects there. This was a question that I was thinking about and I got all week long, and that was about the Packers receiving room. And would you add a wide receiver to that room? Now, I don't think you can ever have enough talent in the skill position rooms. I don't think you can. But I think the Packers take a year off from adding a receiver. I think they're fine right now. My only thing would be, do you add a veteran wide receiver? There's a couple of veteran wide receivers going to be free agents this next year. Do you possibly look at a veteran wide receiver to add to this room? You got a lot of rookies, going to be second-year guys now. You got a lot of talent. Maybe you add a veteran in there to really help guide some of these rookies, to help Jordan Love out, to give that reliable hand to them. That would be an interesting thing right there. I believe end of the day, Packers are fine. Would I be opposed to adding a veteran wide receiver? No, I don't think I would be opposed to it, but I just think the Packers sit stagnant in the wide receiver room. I feel like you can add at that running back position on the offense and the offensive line. Everywhere else, I think you're fine. I really do. I think you're fine. You look at the defense, secondary, I think you could add pieces all over the defense. I really do. And then please don't draft a kicker. That's all I got to say is please don't draft another kicker. Wait until after the draft and then just pick them up. Pick them up in free agency. You can pick up 30 kickers for all I care and have an open contest if that works. Just please, for the love of Pete, do not draft another kicker. But with that, that's about all I got for the Packers. I just wanted to discuss kind of the draft and what I'm seeing right now. It's getting closer and closer to the combine here coming up soon. So when the combine starts, we're going to hear a lot more news coming out of there, see a lot of prospects there coming up to this NFL draft. So with that, I want to talk about a couple of our sponsors here. And that is first your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell. Find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Also, Sports Scene in Marshfield, located in the Marshfield Mall. Check out the wide variety and selection of sporting cards, memorabilia, stock car. They have a stock car show coming up soon. So check out Sports Scene there. Al will help you find anything you are looking for at the store. Also, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. Moving on here. I want to get into the Badgers, but I want to get into this whole load of crap that is Peacock. Now, I use Peacock because I watch Modern Family. I don't know if anybody out there has watched Modern Family on Peacock before, but I like Modern Family. I'll check out Modern Family on there. I believe the new movie Oppenheimer's on there too now, exclusively on Peacock. Have not watched it yet on Peacock. 3-hour movie. I've been trying to watch it. It's just so hard to get my significant other to stay awake long enough to watch a 3-hour movie. So that's the biggest problem right there. But I'm waiting to watch that movie there. But I just wanted to talk about Peacock for a second there and talk about a fact that I saw, and that is that the average American average American subscriber actually pays about $924 yearly for subscriptions. That's $77 per month. 25% pay about $100, and 5% of people actually pay $200 per month on subscriptions. That's where the world is turning right now. I mean, what happened to the times when you could actually turn on the cable TV and watch games? What happened to the time when you could turn on satellite TV and watch games? Now you have to buy subscriptions to certain groups, Peacock, Amazon Prime now. Other ones have been notable. You can get Hulu. Hulu TV also has sporting games on it. Paramount Plus. You have Netflix out there. I mean, just a ridiculous amount of streaming services. And a lot of them now having live sports. Especially now Peacock had NFL games. Now it has a lot of the Big Ten games on there. You look at the Badgers, I believe they have 3 more games. Well, not anymore. They played Maryland on Peacock, but I believe they have 2 more games now on Peacock. For sure, the Indiana one is on Peacock there. But you can only use a 7-day trial for 7 days, and then you got to pay for the subscription. It kind of is a load of bullhooky that you have to pay for all these services now, and extra on top of that. That's the big kicker there. And like Bally Sports, you want to watch Bally Sports? That's $20 a month that you have to pay to get Bally Sports just to watch the Brewers there on Bally. And then you look at even a thing like Big Ten Plus. You get Big Ten Plus, you would think you'd be able to watch the Big Ten. You'd be able to watch the Big Ten in a whole. You can't. You can watch, if you get Big Ten Plus, you can subscribe to a school for the cheap amount. You can subscribe to a certain school, and then you are able to watch that school. So like I'm subscribed to Wisconsin, but I can only watch Wisconsin sports. I can't watch the rest of the Big Ten. Why is it not one uniform thing where I don't have to pay, I believe it's like $65 to watch it every sporting event for every school? Just ridiculous that you can't just get one streaming service that has it all, that is able to give you everything that you want. Used to be satellite TV, no longer satellite TV. Now you can get some sports on there, but otherwise you have to go to other platforms to be able to watch. Worst thing is when you have to flip between platforms just to watch a different game. It's not like you could just flip the old recall button on the remote anymore and flip it back. You have to exit out, go into a different app, wait for it to load, click your profile, go into that game, then you have to back out and go into a new one. I'm not all about it. I am not all about this new. I mean, I get it. Money. End of the day, a lot of money-hungry people in this world. That's what I really get out of hearing about all these platforms and everything like that. And I don't know, not a fan. And from the way that I see it, from the way that I hear it around social media and everything like that, there isn't a lot of people that are fans of this of this new streaming service world that we're into there. But with that, the game was on Peacock. Badgers, Maryland. Badgers snuck out the win 74-70. They did have a big first half, 37 points in that first half. Good defensive showing in the first half. Only gave up 29 points. I thought that was great. 29 points in the first half. This Maryland team isn't great, but they're not bad by any stretch. I think they're a solid team. I don't think they're a great team. I don't think they're a very good team. I think they're a solid team. And 29 points, solid first half defensively from the Badgers. And then looking at that second half there, 41 points they gave up. And I know a lot of those points came late in that game. Badgers struggled to close that one out. And that was a big worry there. A big worry for me, at least, was seeing that game, watching the Badgers trying to close it out, and Maryland just kept hitting shots. Now, you take the good with the bad, right? Maryland was hitting shots down the stretch, but the Badgers continued to hold the lead. Maryland would hit 3, Badgers hit their free throws. That was the big thing down the stretch for me, how poised the Badgers stayed late in this game. I thought that was great. The way that the team stuck together late in this game. The defensive effort late worried me. A lot of, I would understand if Maryland just went on this tear late in the game where they were hitting shots over defenders. That's a different story. But they had a couple wide open shots there late in that game. Badgers, defensively, there's still work to do. This 74-70 win should not have only been 74-70. This game should have gotten away from Maryland at points in this one. The Badgers went stagnant at times. Their defense definitely went stagnant at times. And Maryland was able to capitalize and close the gap in this game. That's the only worry I took out of this game from Wisconsin. Looking at the box in this one, for Maryland, Julian Reese kind of had his way in this one. 18 points, 7 for 12 from the floor, 4 for 7 from the free throw line. I believe he had 7 rebounds in this game. A good night from Julian Reese if you are in the Maryland standpoint of this. 36 minutes played, shot well in the paint, did well against this Badger front court here. Now, I look at a couple of the other guys there. Jameer Young, 20 points, 6 for 17 from the floor. He was 1 for 4 from downtown. Did a decent job keeping Jameer Young under wraps in this one. He actually only had 3 assists in the ball game here, and the Badgers did a very good job turning Maryland over. 10 turnovers for Maryland in this one, 25 fouls. Badgers did a good job getting to the free throw line and forcing Maryland's hand in this one. All the way around, not a bad defensive effort in this one. I thought it was actually improved from what we've seen as of late from this Badger team. Now, that 70 score from Maryland, still not fantastic. There's still work to do on the defensive end for the Badgers. Don't get me wrong. There's still work to do. But it was better. It was a better game defensively in this one for a majority of it than what we've seen as of late. There were still problems. Like I said, late in this ball game here. Problems. Still having problems controlling the cutting lanes. Still having problems controlling the three-point arc. That's where I think the Badgers have to address. Now, Maryland in this one, only 5 for 15 from downtown. They did have some open shots, could not hit them. Hit those threes. I believe at least 2 or 3 of them were late in this ball game, though. So not really much to take from there. Rebounding-wise, 24 rebounds for Maryland in this game compared to Wisconsin's 33. Wisconsin out-rebounded Maryland, and that was fantastic to see. Now, Wisconsin, once again, 12 turnovers. That is a killer. 12 turnovers will kill you night in and night out. The Badgers, I don't know what it is, but this season, careless with the basketball. Now, that could have a lot to do with the Badgers attempting to play a little bit faster. I get that. You're going to have a couple more turnovers here and there, but careless turnovers. That's where my difference comes in. There's a difference between turnovers that, crap, that kind of turnover, versus, yeah, I tried to whip it full court across the iron there, and all of a sudden it just went out of bounds. There's a difference. There is a big difference in what we're seeing Wisconsin turnover-wise and what you would see in a standard kind of turnover there is what I'm trying to say. And 12 turnovers, not terrible, but you look at the line here. Steven Crowell, 5 turnovers in this game here. Tyler Wall, 3 turnovers for him. Those were your 2 big guys right there. 8 turnovers between the 2 guys in your front court. That's your front court. Usually you expect turnovers to come from the back court. The guys controlling the basketball the most. The guys making the plays. Not in this one. It came from Tyler Wall and Steven Crowell. I don't like that. That is a killer. Also, you look at the scoring for the Badgers in this one. A lot better in this game, even scoring across the board. And I think that has a lot to do with Max Klesmit finally showed up for a basketball game. You want to see what happens when Max Klesmit actually hits shots? This is what happens. The Badgers win games. I mean, this one was ugly. This one wasn't a fantastic win like we saw early on in the year. But Max Klesmit, 16 points, had a dagger 3 late in this ball game here. Now, did he have to do the put him to sleep celebration afterwards? I don't know about that one. You've been cold as of late, brother. But at the same time, I love the drive. I like the enthusiasm of the Badgers there in this game. I thought they fought well in this ball game here. Looking at other contributors in this ball game, Tyler Wall with 18 points in this game, AJ Storr with 10, and then Chucky Hepburn added 11. I like the night out of Chucky Hepburn. Honestly, if there had to be an underrated, kind of that underrated performance in this game, Chucky Hepburn or John Blackwell coming off the bench. Blackwell was 7 for 8 from the free throw line in this ball game. That's pretty good work off the bench, if you ask me. 1 for 2 from the floor, 7 for 8 from the free throw line. He finished with 9 points in this game here. He did foul out late in this game, but he did have a couple of big rebounds there. He did have a block shot in this game. I thought John Blackwell was all around. And again, another piece that was missing from the Badgers rotation. That was a big killer. Now getting him back, we see what the Badgers do with him on the court. I liked what the Badgers did. They went with that smaller lineup. We talked about it there the other day, having Blackwell in there and having Wall at that 5. And we talked about that going up against a team like Maryland, you could afford to be able to do something like that. And they did in this ball game. And that was great to see out of this Badger team. The guy that really I thought needed to have a big game in this one was Steven Crowell. 3 for 6 from the floor, 2 for 2 from the line. He had 8 rebounds and 8 points in this game. Not a bad night. Not a good night, but not a bad night. A decent night shooting. I thought at times the Badgers went away from Crowell, and at times that's okay. This game here, they had a lot of other guys shooting the basketball in this game. Like I said, Chucky Hepburn, 3 for 6 from the floor, 2 for 4 from downtown in this game. Badgers did not shoot the 3 well again, though. And the thing I'm going to add to that is they didn't shoot the 3 well, 4 for 17, but they were still able to put up 74 points. They went 28 for 31 at the free throw line. Fantastic. Get to the free throw line, convert at the line, 90% at the line. That's what you love to see. And they were 21 of 47 from the floor, 44%. That's efficiency. That's what you like to see if you are a Badger fan. That's what you like to see if you are a player on that team, is how efficiently they scored. Not a lot of shots were being put up, and they were able to capitalize on the ability to put up shots there in that game. Loved what I saw out of the Badgers in this game here on the offensive end. The only thing that still questions me is that defensive end. That's the only struggle I see with Wisconsin as of late here. Also, it's not a huge 6 offensive rebounds for Maryland in this game, but limiting offensive rebounds is going to be, sometimes you're going to have the ball bounce the other way, but you got to control the offensive rebounds. And that's something the Badgers have to keep working on week after week, is boxing out, getting guys out of there, controlling the offensive glass there, and getting this opposing team out of there on shots, on missed shots. 6 offensive rebounds, not terrible. It's not like it was 10, 20, whatever you want to say. But also at the same time, I loved seeing the Badgers be able to not only stay aggressive in this game, but duke it out. That's what we remember. That's the biggest thing that you can take away from this game, is the resiliency of this Badger team, that even when Maryland put on that run, they kept their composure and they were still able to knock down their shots, knock down their free throws, whatever it was late in this ball game. Now, you're going to have games where you're playing a little bit better of a team. You're going to have struggling moments. What do we see then from the Badgers? And 12 turnovers, alarming. It was alarming to me to see those 12 turnovers. Gotta be able to control the composure, the charisma, everything like that of a basketball game. Control the atmosphere. I think sometimes the Badgers let it get away from them. That's what kills them down the stretch there. So, Badgers, big win over Maryland. Not going to say it wasn't a big win. Every win now for this Badger team is a big win. They moved to 10-6 in the conference, sole possession of third place as of right now in conference play. They moved to 18-9 overall on the season. That's what you want to see. Badgers slowly getting up to that 20-win mark. That 20-win mark puts you into the tournament as probably that 6 line or that 5 line, barring what happens in the Big Ten tournament. But with that, I want to keep talking about that. I want to look up at the bracketology right now. Just take a quick look and see where they kind of have the Badgers as of right now. So according to a couple of the expert bracketologists right now, Joe Lunardi actually has this Badger team getting the 5 seed as of right now. And they would be taking on a team in Indiana State. Now, Indiana State could be a tough game for the Badgers. I mean, Indiana State, not a pushover team. They can shoot it, and defensively, they are a pretty solid team all the way around. So definitely, looking at all of the tournament projections for the Badgers, they are sitting around that 5 seed, 5-6 line right now. Now, looking at the rest of the schedule for Wisconsin, they're going to have a date with Indiana coming up next, and then that will be followed by a matchup with Illinois back at the Kohl Center there, and then Rutgers, and then Purdue. You're on the 5-6 line right now. You win at Indiana, you pick up that win against Illinois and Rutgers, and let's just say you lose that game at Purdue. You win 3 out of the next 4. I can see the Badgers sitting on that 5-4 line. Barring, the Big Ten tournament will help out a lot too. I believe that will get them, if they go 3 out of their next 4, I believe they will stay at that 3 seed, and they will get that double bye, which will help drastically going into that Big Ten tournament. So I like the Badgers where they're sitting right now. I don't, you wish you were a 3 seed, you wish you were a 2 seed, whatever you want to say. I'm not opposed to a 4 or 5 at this point. What I've seen out of the Badgers basketball team, in later years here, I'm not opposed to getting into the tournament in general, but a 4 or 5 seed for what this team is and what this team has done over the past month, not bad. Not bad at all, because this team they lost at one point. I mean, they lost 5 of 6. Now they have actually lost 5 of 7. You can't afford many more losses on the docket, but I believe this Badger team will be able to set themselves up well heading into the Big Ten tournament and then into the big dance there. But with that, I want to move out of college basketball. I want to look at a couple of our sponsors quick before we move on here. Our first one being Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. You want the best physical therapist this side of the state? Check out Chad there at Sport and Spine Therapy in Greenwood. He will get you right and back to your job, back out on the court, whatever it is. Check out Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. But with that, I want to get into the Brewers. I want to finish today talking about the Brewers. And the Brewers have been in the news a little bit here, looking at, they had a deal with Gary Sanchez. Nobody could figure out what was going on. And it turns out it had to do with his wrist. He did not pass his physical. Originally, the deal was set to be, I believe it was set to be $7 million originally, but barring that physical, now Gary Sanchez's contract will be sitting at $3 million. He will get a $3 million contract and the potential to earn $7 million in incentives. I like that deal out of the Brewers. I really do. Getting a guy like Sanchez, a little bit of experience there, a little bit of pop, and, you know, Blake Snell is still a free agent. Just going to put it out there. He's still a free agent. You want to see the Brewers make a splash. They added Rhys Hoskins. But you want to see the Brewers make a real splash heading into this next year? Blake Snell. Now you have his personal catcher. This is Blake Snell's personal catcher in Milwaukee now. If that doesn't sweeten the deal for Blake Snell, I don't know what will. You save money by getting rid of Burns. You have a lot of rookies on contract now. I think you can afford them. I think you can afford to bring Blake Snell in. I don't know if it's for a multi-year deal that Blake Snell might be looking for out there, but I believe the Brewers can put something together to bring Blake Snell to Milwaukee. I really do. And you bring Blake Snell in, you add him with Freddie, with Wade Miley, the possibility of Jacob Mizorowski and Robert Gasser, or even guys like Jacob Junis and Aaron Ashby. That's a solid rotation again. That's a pretty darn good rotation again. I like that rotation. If Woody would not have gotten injured, it's a big wood if he would not have, or even not trading Corbin Burns. I felt like the Brewers rotation was fine. Wade Miley was your 3. Now Wade Miley's your 2. That's what makes me nervous. Now you're transitioning a guy like Wade Miley up higher into the rotation. Freddie Peralta even moves higher. Now I believe Freddie can be an ace. I don't think he has his rough games, but Burns has had his rough games over the years here. Freddie's a solid pitcher. I just believe adding another guy, if you don't add even a guy like Trevor Bauer, I've said it for weeks now. I like the idea of bringing in Trevor Bauer on a small contract. He's not expecting a lot out of you, and you can get him for that small contract. I like that. I really do. I think bringing in Trevor Bauer adds another top of the rotation guy. And if everything bars right, this guy is Cy Young candidate kind of guy. So, I mean, Trevor Bauer, he's had them both. Add Blake Snell, add Trevor Bauer, load up the rotation again. We'll be ready to rock and roll. I believe the offense is ready to rock. You add a guy like Blake Snell, he's going to be the big money guy. Nobody's really throwing money at Trevor Bauer right now. And if he comes for league minimum, like he said, maybe you give him league minimum and then you say incentives on top of that. that sweetens the deal even more. Blake Snell, he's been injury prone as of late. Maybe you can get him for it's still going to be a pretty big contract, but also incentives on top of that. You pitch so many games, you pitch so many innings, you have so many strikeouts. We'll give you this, we'll give you that. I think the Brewers have the possibility to make some pretty big moves here, and it's exciting, but will they make those moves? That's going to be the big thing. Will they make the move that we all want them to see, or that we all want to see them make? Because I believe everybody would want to see the Brewers add a big name arm like Blake Snell, or even a guy like Trevor Bauer. I know people are going to say, well, why do you want to bring that bad mojo with him? Everything like that. I don't believe his teammates actually dislike Trevor Bauer. I think the world dislikes him simply for what had transpired there. And that court case got thrown away. So, in all reality, we might have screwed Trevor Bauer out of a pretty successful time with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now he's sitting there as a free agent. Take a shot. As many times as the Brewers take stupid shots, Darren Ruff, Daniel Vogelbach, Luke Voigt, Jesse Winker. I mean, as many times as we take stupid shots, why don't you take a shot on Trevor Bauer? Why is it even a question? This is a big name arm that you can get for league minimum. Bring him up. Sign him up. Let him ride the train with you. Because you had an arm like him with the fire this is a guy who's a competitor. You see that in Trevor Bauer. He is a very hardcore competitor. He got pulled out of a game and chucked the ball over the center field fence because he was that ticked off. If that doesn't speak of a guy yes, he's a hothead, but he is an all-time competitor. This guy just wants to win. He wants to go to a team and prove that he still has the stuff. Give him a shot. Give him a shot. What's the worst that happens? He sucks. We've had that before. We've dealt with that before. We had Matt Garza. Everybody remembers Garza. One of the worst signings the Brewers have ever had is Matt Garza. There's a lot of signings out there the Brewers have had that have been terrible, but I always go to Matt Garza when I think of terrible Brewer signings. We had Garza. We left him in there. What are the odds Trevor Bauer comes to Milwaukee and gives you a 4 ERA? What are the odds he comes to Milwaukee and does that? What are the odds he comes to Milwaukee and is just a complete dumpster fire? I think it's very little. I think the team that takes a shot on Trevor Bauer is going to be impressed, and they're going to love what they have in that guy. I would bring him into Milwaukee. Personal opinion there. Blake Snell, I'm at least dialing the phone. I'm calling Blake Snell, and I'm saying, hey, Blake, what's it going to take? What's it going to take to get you to Milwaukee? And sweeten the deal. Now we have Gary Sanchez. We have a personal catcher here. What more is it going to take to sweeten this deal even more for you to take our deal to come to Milwaukee? We have the team. We're ready to rock. We just need you. Simple. Blake Snell, adding a top of the rotation piece could be the key to this Brewer team being over the top this year, being that NL Central champ, being the team that can compete with the Atlanta Braves, with the Dodgers, with other teams like that. Now, the Dodgers, that's a whole different story. They have a lot of money to spend. Interesting, though, Blake Snell hasn't been added by anybody. What do the Brewers do here in free agency yet? Because there is a lot of names that haven't been added yet by teams. I just saw a list today. Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell, Cody Bellinger, Martinez, JD Martinez, Matt Chapman, Tommy Pham, and Adam Duvall are all out there still in the free agent wire. What stops the Brewers from making a deal with any of these guys? From making a big-time splash this season? From Matt Arnold saying, hey, Pat Murphy is not this bridge-the-gap manager. We believe in this team. We believe in this second-year guys in this lineup producing. We believe in our veterans, our bullpen, and now add in some pieces in the starting rotation. We believe in this whole stinking thing. And guess what? It all fails. Blow it up at the trade deadline. Deal out Willie Adames. Deal out Hoskins. Deal out the world. I don't think it will, though. That's the thing. I think the Brewers, if they're missing anything, is in that pitching rotation. I think they really could address it yet in free agency with a guy like Bauer, Montgomery, or even a guy like Blake Snell. So with that, I want to just talk about another deal the Brewers had made. We knew about it, 2-year deal with Brandon Woodruff. Now we got the details on it. For 2024, Brandon Woodruff will be paid $2.5 million. In 2025, he will have a contract of $5 million with incentives on the back end of it. I personally like that deal. You know, the Brewers, keeping a guy like Woodruff around, great clubhouse guy, everything like that, love that. Now you give him that little contract with a lot more on the back end. You have that ability now, $5 million plus incentives. $20 million mutual option in 2026. This is what we wanted. This is what we were talking about. We wanted that mutual option, that club option between the Brewers and Brandon Woodruff coming up for a year after. So the Brewers would still have that stability. I love that. $10 million buyout after that. If everything fails, we still have the ability to let Brandon Woodruff walk. Shoulder injuries are tough. You don't know how Brandon Woodruff's going to bounce back. I'm hoping for the best for the big woo, but end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Brandon Woodruff. Barring a miracle, he comes back in 2024, but I believe it'll be 2025 before we see Brandon Woodruff. Can't wait, though, because, the big woo, you got to love him. Dude he pitches like a Cy Young candidate for most of the year. Most of the time, he's only outshined by his own teammate, Ian Corbin Burns. Now it's just Woody. In that rotation besides Freddie. And it makes you excited keeping a guy like Brandon Woodruff around to add back into that rotation. The stability that after this season, your rotation is going to be fine. Maybe you bring in a guy like Blake Snell only on a 1-2-year contract if he takes it. You're going to have him for a year then with Brandon Woodruff and Freddie Peralta. I think that's a solid signing right there. Or even a guy like Trevor Bauer. Give him a club option after 2024. Sign him for 2024. Give him a club option after 2025. Maybe even into 2026. Now we keep a guy like Trevor Bauer around. You can never have enough pieces in that starting rotation. And I would love to see the Brewers add some more because it gets you excited. I'm excited for Brewer baseball. I really am. Coming up this Saturday's first spring training game. And I'm hearing a lot of Sal Frelick will be playing the infield in spring training. I love that. I love the versatility that having a guy like Sal Frelick's going to bring to the roster. Allows you to have Sal be that outfielder / infielder. Opens up another spot for that pitching. For the pitchers to have another guy out there in the bullpen. You don't have to carry an outfielder plus an infielder. Now you have Sal Frelick. He's like the Swiss Army knife out there for you now. He plays the hot corner. I seen him taking time at third base. That's a different type of position to play there. I would imagine if he could play the hot corner, he could play second base. He's got the speed. He's got the range. We've seen it in the outfield. How does he react in the infield? That's going to be a question. And how does he develop in that infield spot? Only time will tell, but it makes you excited. It really makes you excited. Another thing that really made me excited, looking at the Brewers spring training, they were taking batting practice. I saw a video of Joey Wiemer swinging a bat. The herky-jerky crap, gone. It looks smooth. It looks straight to the baseball. It looks fantastic. Christian Yelich batting practice, pulling home runs. I saw a lot of home runs. I saw a whole reel of home runs. But just seeing Joey Wiemer looking like that, it just, something about the spring just brings you happiness. And it has to be the start of Brewer baseball that does it. So with that, that's about all I got for today. We talked about a lot. Had a lot to talk about today. We're going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow here on the weekend preview show. But with that, that's about all we got. We will be back tomorrow to bring you more action. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, deuces.